Hey, alright, welcome to Trickle Down Tuesday. My name is Ultra David, and with me, Mr. James Chen.
Yep. Are you sure you didn't mean like Tickle Down Tuesdays?
I stand by it. Trickle Down Tuesday.
Okay,
Although
fine.
Trickle Down what is it's a little up in the air. I'm not gonna nail that down at all.
Right.
In any case, how's it going?
It's going good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice and tired today?
Very energetic as usual.
For sure. As for me, I'm already feeling like I want to scarf up as much food as possible.
Right, that's right, because
It's the Day of Atonement, which goes from sundown to sundown in the Jewish calendar. So it's like as of like a couple hours ago. I just ate like 2 hours ago, and normally I'm not that hungry after 2 hours. I'm fine, but
just knowing.
just the fast itself makes me like want to eat.
Right,
so.
right. Yeah, I mean, I think I had a conversation with Flo earlier this weekend.
No.
And I was like, we were talking about who was Jewier, and I was like, so, are you going to fast?
He doesn't.
And he was like, is Yom Kippur coming up?
Yeah, I don't know why we keep having this conversation. I don't understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like the fact that I always look Jewier when I have a beard on, right?
Well, there's that one
do, right?
amazing photo out there of you with the full-on
Oh, the
beard,
full beard
right?
when I had like a 2 inch. It was 2 inches.
Yeah.
I was like maximum, and I had my glasses on, and I like didn't do my hair
I saw that
day.
picture, and I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Oh, man. I expected the yarmulke and everything, dude.
It'll be there tomorrow.
Will it really?
Yeah.
Oh, you need to take a picture of that. So.
All right, whatever. Anyway, so back to fighting games.
Yes.
I'm going to take time off from playing Tekken to do this show right now.
Okay.
That's pretty much what it.
Fair enough.
That's like my time allocated to fighting games lately.
Dude, it's like the worst
taking
thing.
time off from Tekken.
Because the worst thing about it is like, I always say I want to play these games, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's not playing them." Dude, I'm not playing anything. Like literally, I'm playing nothing. I only play at Wednesday night fights. That's like all I do for fighting games these days. It's so hard to find time. But
I know exactly what you mean, but anyway, that's not what we want to talk about today. There's
No.
actually some bad news, some sad news
Right.
that we'd like to concentrate on, at least at the start.
yeah, I mean, it was Wednesday last week. Mike Watson, who runs Super Arcades, aka Super, at Super Dojo on Twitter, that you can follow. He tweeted before Wednesday Night Fights that he had some bad news about one of the important figures in our community, and what the announcement turned out to be was about Ralph, who.
Right.
Owns and runs and has been running these things for over 2 decades now. He's been running. He ran Family Fun Arcade at first,
Right.
and then eventually he acquired Super Arcade, and then he acquired Japan Arcade.
Right, and just for people who don't know, we're talking about a few, I guess, arcades in Southern California, a couple in Los Angeles, and then one that's kind of to the east of it a little bit, which is Super Arcade. But the ones that are in LA, especially Family Fun Arcade, that was like the home of the fighting game arcade culture in Southern California for years. After
Southern Hills Golfland closed.
yeah,
down.
yeah. After that closed, and then especially once Third Strike became like the game of the hour in SoCal, man, that place was. I would come there from 40 minutes away. People would come from an hour and a half away. It was the place to be, and Ralph was the owner. And yeah, there was some contention every now and then, but for the most part, I think we appreciated. I did at least that he always had the arcade open. That more often than not, they took care of the parts, and that's something that kind of has extended to Japan Arcade, and
that was the thing, is Japan Arcade and Super Arcade were both arcades that were not particularly well run,
right,
until Ralph took them over.
Exactly.
And as soon as Ralph took them over, that's when they started to prosper a lot more.
Exactly.
And they started to be a better quality arcades.
Right. So this guy Ralph, in short, has just had a huge impact on the fighting game community in SoCal, because he has been the owner of some of the most important arcades in our scene.
Right. And what was it? I know it was Pyro Lee. Like, he would always refer to Family Fun as like that was the arcade, and everywhere else he had like a derogatory name for everything that wasn't Family Fun Arcade. I can't even remember.
I don't remember,
what it was.
but I can tell you that when one of my buddies from when I lived back east in DC, this guy lived in Southern Maryland, and when he came out, apparently his dad lives in SoCal, and when he came out to visit, I can tell you what he wanted to do. He wanted to go to Family Fun Arcade, and he took his camera to Family Fun Arcade and was taking shots and wow, the big
dude.
boy cab, like wow, the back,
right.
And
Wow, the back.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm totally serious. So like that was the, if you weren't around for the time when Family Fun was the major hub of Third Strike in SoCal, and a lot of the best players in the country, then just know that it had a tremendous impact on the scene.
Yeah, I always remember people would always, like, long time ago before the big boom, you know, a lot of people would message me and they'd be like, you know what, I'm the best at these games, how can I make a splash on the scene and beat all these people and blah, blah. I was like, come out to Family Fun Arcade. If you can beat them in Third Strike at Family Fun Arcade, you can beat people anywhere.
Beat anywhere, yeah. So what's going on with Ralph? That's the whole backstory. Now what's happening?
Right. So unfortunately, Ralph is running into some health issues now. In fact, it's not even just him, but people that he's very close to, his family as well. They're just falling onto like a little bit of rough times, and then, frankly, he just doesn't have the ability to keep these arcades up anymore. With these health issues.
Right.
And the arcades just aren't making any money anymore, and Family Fun Arcade, like, you go to Family Fun Arcade, it's literally like, you're like, where is this place? And you drive all the way off the freeway, you go this distance, and there's this shopping center. It's like this weird shopping center with like an El Torito that's converted to a church next to it and stuff like that. And
dude, it was a Century City that became a Korean megachurch.
That's
so
right.
That's the
Circuit
area.
City, right?
It was a Circuit City.
Yeah. Okay. And it's and I've actually heard rumors of what the rent is at that spot to keep it up, and it's just like, you hear that number and you're just
really?
like,
really?
Like, yeah,
because it's just like random spot in the valley.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, that's not true, because the streets that it's on are two of the bigger streets in the valley, but
right,
it's still just like
the shopping center is
some spot.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like it's in the middle of Westwood or some crazy thing like that.
SoCal geography, you don't know what we're talking about. But
exactly.
let's go on.
But I mean, it's ridiculous. So right now, at this point, there's just no way to keep. Ralph cannot keep these places alive on his own. You know what I mean? It's too much. And so, unfortunately, Family Fun Arcade and Japan Arcade supposedly are going to close down end of this year.
Yeah, either late this year or the end of this year.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. And, of course, Super Arcade, which is partially owned by Mike Watson now, it's going to be able to stay alive because Mike is going to be able to maintain that arcade and keep it going. So Super Arcade will stay alive. And, it's sad for us to lose these two arcades because those three were pretty much the last ones left, and there's also an Alex Arcade down, a little further south and such. But those three were the main ones that were kind of the holdouts,
right?
And one of the things that I do want to say, I feel kind of bad because we're sitting here like we're losing our arcades, and of course everywhere else, all the people are like, dude, we don't even have an arcade scene to lose.
I know.
Like the last 15 years, we didn't even have an arcade scene to lose. So it's tough. We always talked about how SoCal was amazing because we could keep up these arcades and stuff like that, and even here, it's not true anymore.
It's not, yeah, and it's really sad. It's not going to be a completely gone era because we're still going to have Super Arcade and like a random smattering of maybe sometimes you go there sort of arcades, but
that's true. James Games is still
and I was going to mention James Games actually, as being one of those places. But in general, there's this clear trend that has almost gotten to its completion of arcades dying off, and I know it's happened in most places in North America already, and in fact happened quite a while ago in most places. But there are these locations that have kept them, and not that many. I mean, basically SoCal, the San Francisco Bay Area and NorCal, Austin, New York. Even New York had problems for a while with Chinatown closing down, and then the next one starting back up.
Next level.
Next level, that's right, starting up.
It's kind of funny because it feels like all the arcades that are around today are run by fighting game community people.
Well, okay, so obviously arcades aren't dying, right? Arcades are all over the place. You can go to lots of malls and you'll find an arcade. You can go to, Dave & Buster's and play some arcade machines.
Right.
You can go to a GameWorks. Those are around. Okay, so it's not like arcades are dying. What's dying off is the fighting game presence in arcades as being like one of the major pillars of an arcade.
And just the old school culture now is just gone. Because, the way I've always explained it is just that, before you went to the arcades because that's the only place where you could play these crazy games. When I was growing up, you had Dragon's Lair and Space Ace. You couldn't get that stuff at home. Street Fighter 2, you couldn't play that at home. Yeah. Even the Super Nintendo version was, it was a very good replica, but it was it was never the arcade.
Obviously.
And there was, every time, for the longest of time up through Super Nintendo, before Saturn and PlayStation 1 and stuff like that, pretty much the measure of how good a game on the console was how accurate it was to the arcade. Uh-huh. Like you played Final Fight. How close is it to the arcade?
Yeah, of course.
And nowadays, everything at home is just... you get to sit on the couch and lie down in your pajamas and just sit there and just play games, and they're better than anything that you can play in the arcades these days. So it's like you can't compete with that anymore. So the only thing that could survive in arcades was crazy racing games, Bomani games, the rhythm games, kind of things that you can't play at home.
But basically. The things that are not easily duplicated in a home experience. Yeah.
Right. And now even the home has things like Kinect and PlayStation Move where you can do all sorts of crazy, Dance Central kind of things. Dude.
Right. So, the biggest deal for us is that is playing with people. Mm-hmm. That's why I kept going to arcades. When I started playing fighting games competitively, I could already play at home. I could already play on a Dreamcast.
Right.
That was already around. But it wasn't something that we even thought about, really. It was at most something that you would go into the crappy training mode for.
Right. We had no online. We had no online back then.
Right. And in fact, I almost didn't know anybody who owned a joystick for... I'm serious. For the first 4 or 5 years that I was in the scene. It wasn't until I moved out east, where in the Maryland, Virginia area, DC area, where they had already lost their major arcades, that people were really meeting up in a non-arcade context. And in SoCal, we were so spoiled that we still had all that stuff. And it was useful because I really feel like that was one of the ways that we could maintain being good, was by meeting up with people and playing them. But yeah, now with online, I feel like it's saying now with online play. With online play for the last many years, it's been...
You can get
that's
practice,
been falling off, right? So it's not in every game. If I want to play King of Fighters, I do need to, in fact, play against somebody offline.
Local,
yeah. But if I want to play Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter Cross Tekken or something like that, then, or Persona, right? Like, I can totally do that online, and there's not as much reason to have the offline kind of central location of meeting up anymore.
Yeah, the only reason why I laugh when you mentioned the joystick comment is because it just gave me flashbacks of just nightmares of buying these really cheap, crappy joysticks that would break in like 3 days and they never worked, trying to, or just learning to play on the pad. Seriously,
I tried that.
My entire fighting game career on the console, before Mad Catz TE sticks, was Saturn pads.
Oh, yeah?
The Saturn pad was the best thing. In fact, at one point in time, I was better on the Saturn pad in like X-Men vs. Street Fighter than I was on a joystick. I learned to play Alpha and all these games just claw style, Saturn pad. So I actually got really good at that, using the Saturn pad.
Okay.
Because it's the best pad ever, but that was what I had to do because there was no joysticks. We bought like these really just crappy joysticks, and
I had a Mass Stick, which was just made by some dude in his garage, and like his mom helped run the company. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Right, and there was hot glue all over the place on the insides. Like, it was an ugly stick. And then after that, I made my own sticks just for fun. But anyway,
I never owned a Moss stick. You
never really?
I never owned a Moss stick. Yeah. In fact, someone so I used to work at the UCLA arcade.
Yeah.
And the what's his face? The mechanic there actually built me a joystick at one point in time. It was actually it was a gift from my brother because every time we played each other, like, he had more trouble on the pad than I did. So I had him build a joystic for my brother. And then eventually, since I was the fighting game guy, he was like, "Here, just keep it." So I had used it for a long period of time, but it just, it wasn't. So I had to maintain it myself and all this other stuff. And honestly, the quality of those, like Mad Catz TE sticks and stuff like that. I'm still using the first TE stick I've ever gotten.
I really feel like that has been another another part of why arcades have been able to, or why we're losing arcades, is that now we have a relatively cheap. Yes, the TE sticks are cheap in comparison to what came before, and very well working sticks. You can totally buy one easily and relatively cheaply, and now if you want to play with stick, you can do it. But in addition to that, people have gotten really good and disproved the earlier nonsense that we had about pads not being effective ways to play fighting games.
Right.
And that's totally gone now. I don't think anybody holds that belief anymore. But that was a major limiting factor. I knew people who wanted to play fighting games but couldn't afford a stick or didn't want to get the whole stick plus console, etc. Because they believed that in order to play a fighting game, they needed to have a stick.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And so that's gone. And in any case, if you want a stick, you can get a stick.
I mean, the biggest proof of that, I guess, the story to support that was Evolution 2003, I think it was. It was 3. First year of Pomona was the year that Tom Cannon and Tony Cannon, a wizard, and Seth decided we're going to console.
Mm-hmm.
We're done with these arcade machines because we were dragging all these arcade machines. So we were going to console. We're going to play Dreamcast, Marvel 2, Dreamcast, Third Strike, and all this stuff like that. And dude, the backlash that we got back then was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. It was almost like pretty much what it was everyone was saying EVA was killing fighting games by going to console.
Yeah.
And in fact, a lot of groups, including a lot of the top Marvel Seattle players, they just boycotted. They just refused to come down and play Marvel, and that wasn't on a cabinet.
That's still happening in Third Strike.
Yeah,
It is.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the position of the Third Strike players at Family Fun, of these guys like Pyro Lee, etc. Yi, all those guys who were super good at the game and didn't play at home and refused to because it was a slightly different version. It is. Mm-hmm. And now when in October Capcom is going to have the 25th anniversary tournament and there's going to be Third Strike Online there, guess who you're not going to see? Those same dudes for the same reasons.
Yeah.
But Family is closing down, and that's not really going to be as easy to maintain anymore. It's pretty much going to be super arcade. James Games is still around. Mm-hmm. People, I used to play there occasionally. It's the options to do that are really falling off, and that whole mentality has had to die off. And to the extent that it hasn't died off, those guys are finding it harder and harder to play.
Yep. Well,
let's take a break real fast. Yeah, I kind of want to keep talking about this when we come back.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool.
So,
see you in a bit. Howdy do, welcome back. We're talking about the fact that Family Fun Arcade and Japan Arcade are going to go close down in Southern California, but it's not really a new thing. It's been obviously a trend, and I know that it's impacted other places more than SoCal, but it's finally coming home to roost in SoCal, and it's been happening for a while. So we were just talking about arcades that have closed in SoCal.
Denjin closed.
Denjin Arcade was opened by a couple of players, one player and his friend essentially, and was a extremely important arcade for a while.
Right.
It was one of the major Street Fighter 4 arcades when that first came out, and then after that, it kind of was the remaining hub of Third Strike before it unfortunately closed down.
And then Arcade Infinity was a huge one. We lost. Yeah, that was pretty much like we said, Southern Hills Golfland, obviously mecca of everything, right? And then once that closed down, Family Fun kind of took over a little bit, and then at some point Arcade Infinity became the place to go.
That was a little while later. I mean, that was already kind of in the Street Fighter 4 era that Arcade Infinity was the place to go, although of course people had been going there for the whole time.
For years.
Mm-hmm. For me personally, Interface closing down in Simi Valley was a big deal.
I never even heard of that. Yeah.
I think it was owned by Ralph. I'm not 100% on that, but I think so. I remember hearing that.
Right.
But yeah, it was just an arcade in Simi Valley. It wasn't like a big deal.
Right.
It just so happens that Simi Valley was the home of like half of the best Third Strike players in the country.
So random.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
But so those guys would show up, and it would be amazing. And just some dinky, crappy arcade.
Yeah.
Arcade slash LAN center.
Yeah. And of course, I mean, we're talking about all these SoCal places, but, a lot of people have said that the other scenes, they've been dead for a long time, which isn't even necessarily true. There's actually, just this past year, I swear, there's been, like, so many places that I know of that have closed down recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, for example, in San Diego here, which is, of course, California again, but that's in San Diego.
Right.
San Diego, obviously not a part of L.A.,
Right, so it's in Southern California, but it's not, it's considered a distinct area.
I'm kidding. But, the Box Arena ran a lot of their events at Frubble, which was a boba place and sandwich shop, and that just closed down recently, so they lost that location to play games. There's an arcade in Arizona called Arcade in a Box, I believe it's called, and it was one of their main places to go and play. I don't think it's closed yet, but I think, I know there's an event for it, like the final hurrah for Arcade in a Box. And so I think that one's actually going to go down pretty soon as well. Of course, coming up this weekend is Seasons Beatings.
Yeah.
And the home of Seasons Beatings, which is Momo's, which was like boba shop, food place, karaoke, bowling, like this little kind of, it was a really interesting place. It was a great venue. It was really unique. And that closed down as well. So people are just losing all this. And let's not even just forget to mention Chinatown Fair, which was probably one of the biggest casualties of all fighting game in terms of history. Yeah, Chinatown Fair was, a lot of people who go there have said it's just a dumpy little arcade or whatever like that.
It was.
But, I mean, in terms of what it meant to the community, it was just pretty much, it was East Coast. Like, that was the home of the East Coast fighting game community, was Chinatown Fair. Obviously, Chinatown Fair has been reopened, but it's not even...
It hasn't been reopened. not in my mind.
Fair enough.
Not when you have the dinky, child-sized air hockey table with the neon pucks and the neon puck holders and the puck, the little hitter thingies. They have the guard.
They have a shield
on them? They have a shield so little kids don't get their hands hurt. It's not open. It's not the same place. Okay, anyway.
Okay, not the same place.
Yeah.
So, there have just been places closing down all over the place. And, a lot of people are trying to keep these things up. There's been a lot of... so we talked about how a lot of the fighting game community members are opening arcades. Arcade UFO, run by Fubar Duck, a.k.a. Ryan Harvey, in Austin, Texas. What is it? Galaxy Arcade? The one that Jason Wilson runs in Tennessee.
Oh yeah, I don't remember the name.
I don't remember the name. Oh god, this is so bad.
Somebody will yell at you at the chat.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, Henry Sen opened the Next Level Arcade in New York to make up for the disappearance of Chinatown Fair.
Right, and there's Southtown Arcade in San Francisco. It's not like the trend is exclusively towards the death of arcades. There are these people who are maintaining the fighting game arcade system, and in some cases they kind of combine things. Like there's Insert Coin in Las Vegas
run by Christopher Laporte, right? Yeah.
So on the one hand it's a bar and it's treated as a bar, but on the other hand there are people who go there locally. At least last time I was in Vegas, to play there on the consoles and the machines.
Yeah, and Dragon Lounge is kind of doing the same thing up in NorCal. That's where a lot of the NorCal guys go play. They just hook up TVs over there. That's where they have all their matches on Monday night, if I believe. That's where Hans and everybody goes to play a bunch of games and stuff. And then, of course, there's the big corporate ones that are still around, but, so even something like Round 1.
Yeah, so Round 1 still exists in SoCal, but I don't really go there that much. And I don't really know that other people go there that much. I feel like I'm certainly going there less than when it opened up. And last time I was there, they didn't really have a couple of the games that I wanted to play. Like Super Turbo wasn't there. And
I'm not going to lie. The last 3 or 4 times I've been to Round 1 arcade was for bowling, and karaoke. Oh,
yeah?
Yeah. I haven't even been there for the games.
Oh, no.
It's just been for the other stuff. So,
well, clearly, in any case, fighting games are the afterthought there. It's nice that they've done put in some of the games. But it's definitely more about... whatever those crane games and bowling and whatever nonsense they also have. I don't even know.
So someone's repeating a question here, L Nitrogen, from dry eye relief, I guess. But do we think that video game bars like insert coins are the future of arcades? And I can go on a tangent about what I think arcades could do forever.
James Chen.
Well, I mean, to me, what an arcade needs to be now. So the arcade, before a long time ago, the whole point of the arcade was there was stuff that you could not play at home. So the whole goal was to pack as many machines as you could side by side, and it was a dark little dingy place, and that was it. It was about the games, right?
Yeah.
Arcades cannot be about the games anymore. The games are not the point of an arcade anymore. The only way to make an arcade succeed these days is to make it about the social aspect.
Yeah, I hear that.
So I don't necessarily believe that it has to be a bar, but if it is a social environment, so if you're going to have an arcade, it needs to be an arcade / bakery, arcade / boba shop, arcade / bar, or something like that.
Library? Or bookstore?
Not library,
Ooh.
no.
Oh, I would be all about an arcade / bookstore. Are you serious?
Serious? Really?
/ coffee shop? Oh!
See, coffee shop would be amazing, right?
I would live there.
A lot of people would, yeah. I would never see you again.
Yeah.
We would have to run UltraChen from that area.
That'd be awesome.
But if it was like that and there was tables, you didn't pack all the arcades and games next to each other. There was more like areas to sit down. There's food to eat. It could just be a good social environment. Like I would build tables with plugs in the middle.
Microbrewery.
See, alcohol is the key.
Microbrewery.
Then you would truly never leave.
Basically.
But yeah, I mean, obviously alcohol is a really good path for it because a lot of people like to go out and socially drink, and that demographic is the one that's going to want to go out to these kind of places. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to make arcades succeed, but the only way to do it is if we just drop the old mentality.
Yeah, we got to do that.
We all remember arcades being dark, packed, and
kind of stanky
change machines, and stuff like that. And
you did not want to use the bathrooms.
Yeah, it has to be bright. It has to be a place where people can gather and hang out and talk, so it's not so loud so that you can talk. So there's got to be a lot of sound dampening or whatever like that. You got to be able to get food and everything like that.
A women's bathroom.
A women's bathroom. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like those places like Dave and Buster's, they kind of have it right. They have the pool tables and all that. But you don't have to be that big. You could be a small little thing and still make arcades succeed. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But it's to be frank, I think that those will be in a few spots and not really all that common.
Yeah.
I totally think that they'll be around forever, and I wouldn't be surprised if where we are right now on this cycle is kind of how things end up. That is to say, yeah, we lose some stuff and it really sucks, but also we have other ones that are starting up, and maybe we'll lose those too in a year or two or a little bit more than that. But I could totally see that cycle just continuing. But I think it's important to see which of the 3 arcades in SoCal that Ralph owns is the one that's going to live. It's Super Arcade, the place where we have tournaments at least twice a week, usually 3 times a week.
Even more than that nowadays.
Is it more than 3 times a week?
Well, I guess Friday is always like a casual event, right?
Yeah.
But every once in a while on Saturday, like I know James Shea, who came and
Saturday
helped
and
us
Sunday,
with,
I guess that's true.
Who came and helped us with Persona and all that stuff like that. He runs tournaments like every other Saturday down there, and Tekken's being run there extra as well and such.
So it has organized meetups, and obviously they're not just tournaments when they come. For Wednesday Night Fights last week, honestly, I spent half the time that I wasn't commentating just playing Third Strike.
Right, I saw that.
Yeah, and so when we come there for other games, we're going to play the games in general. And in a lot of cases now, that's console stuff. Marvel is there, for example. They're not going to have 10 Tekken setups. They're not going to have 10 Street Fighter 4 setups, especially Street Fighter 4 because it costs $80,000 or whatever nonsense. So you have to have that hybrid approach, and it has to be a place that has some reason, some social reason for people to visit. It can't just be about the games, unfortunately.
Right. So, lawyer, let me ask you this question here. Okay. I've heard that you're not supposed to be able to charge people for playing consoles in an arcade. Like that's actually not legal to do. Yeah. Like what is the how do is there a way around that?
By the way, let me just say that no, it's not really $80,000 for Street Fighter 4, but it was it was like $15,000 for a new Street Fighter 4 set.
It was, yeah.
I'm serious.
Absolutely.
It was that much money. It actually might have been more than that. Well, because
the worst thing about the Street Fighter 4 was you cannot play side by side. They were designed to be one cabinet, so the only way to play two players was to get two of them.
Yeah, I want to say it was like $20,000 if you got the full Vuelix fanciness, like maximum possible setup.
Yep.
But anyway. As to your question about console games and arcades. So, video games are copyrightable works. One of the ways that they're copyrighted is in the audiovisual work that's involved. That is to say, the pictures and sounds and graphics and all that stuff. Those are copyrighted. And, so that's one of the things. One of the rights that you get when you own a copyright to something is the exclusive right to say where it's publicly performed. Okay. That has this whole legal definition required, but let's just say it means that you're showing something to a group of people, or making it open or viewable, not necessarily actively showing to a group of people that's not like your close circle of family and friends. So if you just invite the public to some place and say, hey, anybody can show up here and view this thing, this audiovisual work in the video game, then you're effectively publicly performing that video game. Okay?
Even though you're not doing anything with it.
Even though you're not doing anything. You're just making it available for people to come see. You're effectively publicly performing this game. Whoever owns the copyright can prevent you from doing that, if they want. What happens with arcade games is that they come explicitly with a license that allows you to perform these games in an arcade. So that's how you get around that, and oftentimes that's through a middleman, whatever. It's extraneous stuff. It's not the case for console games. They don't come with that kind of license.
Right.
So you're not when you publicly perform a console video game that doesn't give you the license to do that, you are infringing on the rights of the copyright holder. Okay. That's not to say that it's illegal. The word illegal is kind of, it has something to do with copyright, but that's not really the big deal. It's just that you're going against the rights of the person who owns the copyright, and they can, if they wish, exercise those rights by suing you, or by just demanding that you stop whatever you're doing. So yeah, if you're an arcade and you're using a console game in your arcade, then you are probably infringing the rights of whoever owns the game. Probably just because sometimes there's a license or sometimes not, but usually not.
And most of the people who actually run these console games in the arcades, they don't charge for them, right? Most of the time, if they're in a cabinet, you can just go up and play them.
Console games?
Yeah.
Console games are usually, as far from what I've seen, there are places that have built like a way to put in a quarter, or there are also places that just charge you by time.
Right. Like Land Center kind of style, right?
Yeah, but some of them are fancy enough that you have to put in a quarter to start activating the time, or else like the controls don't work.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
dang. Okay.
They do charge, although charging isn't necessarily what gets you busted. It's just the fact that you're infringing the rights.
Oh, interesting.
And asking for money makes it more likely that you'll get sued, and more likely that if you do get sued that you won't have any good defenses.
Right.
But yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, no one's really going to go and try to target these little mom and pop arcades.
I've only heard of a few examples of it happening. And, another thing that happened with Street Fighter 4 is there are import restrictions, copyright-based import restrictions. And everybody in North America imported that game because it didn't have a North American release.
Right.
100% of the arcades that have Street Fighter 4 are infringing on Capcom's rights. So... Thanks, Capcom, for making Street Fighter 4 $20,000 and not letting anybody show it legally. I'm sure that didn't have anything to do with arcades having rough times.
Yeah, I know, right? Ugh. Man.
Okay. Anyway.
Well, I mean, a lot of these arcades these days do have to get by selling drinks and selling snacks and stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean, it's almost like a movie theater now where, if you're a movie theater, you're not really selling a movie. You're just selling, like, butts.
Popcorn.
Well, you're selling food and drinks and the social atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's like, it's cool to go see a new fancy movie with everybody around you.
Yep.
It's like more interesting in most cases than just hanging out at home. So you have to think of ways to deal with that. And sorry, like, you're people are not going to stop downloading people are not going to stop downloading movies. And it's, people are not going to stop playing console games either. So we got to do things to make it better.
Right. Okay. Well, you want to take another break?
Sure.
All right. We'll be right back, guys.
Okay, cool. Welcome back to Tuesday Trickle Down Once in Future Good Times. I don't even remember what I was thinking about when I wrote that title. Oh yeah, because it's once good times because arcades are closing, and future because some remain open, but also cool tournaments in the future. But before we get to that,
I want to mention that obviously Dead or Alive 5 came out today.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been picking that up. A lot of people have been actually playing it. I have not had a chance to try it yet. I haven't had a chance to do anything with it. But so far from what I've heard from a lot of people, so one of the biggest complaints about Dead or Alive 1 through 4 was that counters were a little too good. It was just kind of like this guessing game, like mashing counters and stuff like that. And I've heard from a couple of sources, Dacid Bro, one of them, Justin, another one, that they've actually seemed like that they're doing a really concentrated effort on trying to balance the game and make it like more, like true fighting game worthy.
Didn't they get some assistance or like cross-pollination or something from the Virtua Fighter team?
They have the Virtua Fighter characters in there.
I know the characters are in there.
I don't know if they actually grabbed the guys to help make it. But I know, for example, I heard like if you try a mid counter, that the damage you get off of that is really nerfed. And if they predict it and hit you out of the counter, like hit you in delay, you take more damage than you did before. I think only high counters, according to Dacid Bro, actually does a lot of damage now or something like that. So,
okay.
I don't know. I think it might be interesting as another entry into... I mean, obviously we've been talking about how many games there were. I think the last time I counted there was like 15 games that could be potentially played, including DOA and Tekken Tag 2. I made the list like a couple of months ago, but I counted them because they were coming out. Yeah. And it's a ridiculous amount of games right now. But, it'd be interesting to check it out. And, we had that one whole episode where I had talked about, making games that are fun to watch and stuff like that. And, according to some of the people who have played it, they said it's just like, it's so much fun to watch because it's just, the game is spastic and there's like this crazy, background interaction and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I'm curious to see how Tournament Viable is going to be. And Perfect Legend played it. Obviously, Perfect Legend, huge Dead or Alive fan.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, he's got a history with that game, playing it at
He won EVO the year that we had Dead or Alive 3, I think it was.
Yeah, wasn't he also on like some team and they were competing at some league, some pro league?
I don't know.
Right?
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
I'm not joking. I honestly don't recall what it was.
I think he was.
Okay, yeah.
But according to
CGS Legend, sounds right. It was something like that, yeah.
Now, Perfect Legend, I mean, I saw this SRK posted like a review from him, an early review, and according to Carl, he's just like, this is the best fighting game released like in the last 10 years.
For real?
It was something.
He's really into it?
Yeah, he said he really liked it. So I don't remember what exactly he said. I mean, I'll look it up here. But yeah, apparently he really likes it. And it'll be really interesting to see, how this game is going to stack up with a lot. I mean, the hardest part for this game right now is obviously Tekken because, Tekken, DOA, Virtua Fighter have always been kind of mashed into this generic 3D.
Soul Calibur came out this year too.
Soul Calibur, that's right. But
man, literally all of the major 3D games came out this year, or at least had updates or were released on console.
Yeah, and I would definitely say that Tekken Tag 2 is just right now is the monster that you have to overcome, because that game, I mean. A lot of people who have never played Tekken before, and a lot of people who have not paid attention to Tekken before are really starting to appreciate this game. Yep. And, it's not even just Tekken, it's everything. Persona and all, there's King of Fighters. There's so many games right now. But, having said that, if you can, I think it would be a good idea to give it a shot, just to see how it goes. I mean, you never know, right?
Yeah, of course.
Never know. So, okay. I'm going to look for that quote here.
Okay.
But you can go ahead. Do you want to just move on to Seasons Beatings at this point? Yeah.
I guess. So this coming weekend is Seasons Beatings Ascension, which is, as we mentioned earlier, not going to be at Momo's in Columbus, Ohio, where it had always been, unfortunately, because Momo's is closing down. Where it's going to be instead is Cleveland in, I think, like a hotel, you know.
Right.
It's like it's a regular tournament now, unfortunately. And, I know that people aren't happy about that it's not at Momo's, but it's nothing to do with the people who are organizing the tournament. It's just, unfortunately, Momo's is closing down, so...
Dude, I love that
I hope... Yeah, well, of course, I did too. But I hope that people don't think negatively about Seasons Beatings or the people who are making it. Because I've heard a little bit on that people are not that happy that's not at Momo's. But you really shouldn't think like that.
Because Momo's isn't there.
It's just not. It's not their fault. Like it's going to be in Cleveland. I'm sure it's going to be an amazing tournament. And I guess we'll talk a little bit about it. But you have Perfect Legends early Dead or Alive 5 impressions. It looks like.
Let me see what he says here. It says Carl ends his post with a declaration that Dead or Alive 5 is, in his opinion, the best fighting game released in the past 10 years.
Wow.
And he will be posting tutorials and match videos, so keep an eye out for those,
cool.
So hopefully he'll be able to help us all learn.
That's cool. I appreciate him doing that. That's
yeah.
I like hearing that Carl's going to be doing that kind of public stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, so Seasons Beatings is historically a Marvel tournament.
Yes.
It was the place for some of the best Marvel 2 action, and in Marvel 3, it's been one of the major events as well.
Yeah, I mean one of the obviously it's run by Harmon and run by Chris Gallion, right? And the early Seasons Beatings were run by Fuji, big Marvel head, and I mean he was always the guy running around Evo with a megaphone, like yelling at people and stuff like that. And he was really into Marvel. Havad actually, I think, had a lot to do with helping him get a lot of those Marvel players out there in the past. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so because Havad's really into Marvel as well. Like he's super into Marvel. Havad Khan, who finished 6th at the World Series of Poker one year. Yeah, so and at one point got quad queens to bust his opponent's pocket aces. But he really did. He was like,
awesome.
He's like, I'm done. Because they flipped over. It was ace, queen. He's like, all right, okay, flop, queen, something.
Really?
Yeah, and he was just like, oh my god.
Okay.
Bulldozer.
Yeah, he was a character there.
Havad's awesome. But it's always been a Marvel thing. Some of the greatest Marvel exhibitions have taken place up there. There's always they always flew a lot of the West Coast players to do West Coast versus East Coast. Yeah, that's what
I was gonna say. Yeah,
Chris Schmidt, Neo, Fnatic, all these guys always went out there, to compete. I mean, I don't know if Fnatic went out so much, but it
was cool because it's Ohio is not on the East Coast. It's a little inland. It's a ways inland from that. So it was a place. It was one of the few majors at the time that was in the middle of the country, and because of that, it was nice that you could meet up when it was the big East versus West Marvel 2 rivalry.
Right.
So.
But I mean, it was about as neutral ground for East West Coast as Santa Barbara really was as neutral ground for NorCal, SoCal.
That's actually pretty apt because it's probably about the same percentage away from the respective areas.
But since after obviously Santa Barbara was closer to SoCal, so there was definitely a larger SoCal contingent there.
No doubt.
When you went to Seasons Beatings, there was definitely a stronger East Coast contingent there.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, it's home to some of the greatest Marvel events ever. Last year they did the Good versus Evil, which turned out to be one of the most hype events.
Sick.
So good. And this year, I mean, I don't know if they have any special Marvel stuff, but I don't think they need it because you were just looking through the Marvel pools, right?
Yeah, check out some of these pools. Okay, so Pool 1, aka out of 8 at least that I know about, has Justin Wong, Flocker, and Hanzo Gonzo.
That is if Justin goes. I heard he's trying to make it there,
That's
but
what I heard,
he's not sure he can get there. So,
Pool 2 is Filipino Champ, Flux, Too Much Damage, and K-Beast. 3 has Yipes.
CJ Showstopper. Yeah. It's his time. CJ, this is your time.
And then also Taekwa from Mexico is going to be there, or in that one. Pool 4 has Dominion, PR Rog, PZ Poi, and Fruitsy. also from Mexico. Like, that's pretty nuts. Pool 6 has OMG, it's Andre, Infrit, Guilty, Kinderbarty,
Did you do
Marvello.
Pool 5?
Nah, because Pool 5 seems like whatever. It's got Chris G and Viscant.
Right. Esteban. Oh, wow. Is he coming out there, too? Oh, cool. Nice.
And then 7 has, I don't know, maybe not that much. Yeah, I guess it has Mame Spider. That's pretty cool that he's coming out.
Dude's got Alex Vi and Ricky Ortiz. You know why that makes me laugh? No. I'm not saying... They're not bad at the game, right? They're not bad at the game.
No, they're not, yeah.
No, I'm just saying because I still remember when we told the story about rivalries that Ricky versus Vi was one of the first major like rivalries, NorCal, SoCal in Marvel 2. And that was when Ricky Ortiz beat Alex Vi in grand finals at the Hills Golfland tournament. So it'd be awesome if they ran into each other again. Like run that back from. I mean,
they both definitely had times in Marvel 2 as being top players for sure.
For sure.
No, I'm not saying that Chris G is whatever. I'm saying that his pool seems like he's probably going to get out of it.
Well, Ray Ray's also in that.
Oh, Ray Ray's in 7. Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
And then 8 is let's see, Combo Fiend, DJ Hoshin, Humbag, Kane Blue River.
What?
And Alucard. So
wow.
I mean, that 8 is pretty nuts, right?
Dude, these pools are ridiculous.
So anyway, the Marvel pool of talent, just in general, is going to be ridiculous. This is going to be definitely one of the better Marvel tournaments of the year, and certainly of this half of the year. It's kind of a traditional off season, so we're not having majors every weekend like we did in the spring. But
Seasons
now
has always been that way. It's always been that one major guy that was in like the winter time.
Right.
Know?
Yeah. So it's going to be. This coming weekend, there's also going to be a 1st to 10 between Chris G and Fruitsy, which I'm probably looking forward to that about as much as the tournament, maybe more, because that's a really cool. That's a really cool matchup.
Isn't MODOK supposed to be like the anti-Morgan now because he can fly on the top of the screen, right? So that's actually a really good matchup for Fruitsy.
Well, kind of, because he's not. So Chris G, from what I've been seeing, has been playing like a more complete Morgan style. It towards the start of it was just kind of a defensive keep away, throw stuff on the screen kind of team.
Right.
But I always thought it was a pretty malleable team. Like you could do a lot with it. It was versatile if you played it in a certain way. He's definitely getting there now. His Morgan is more offensive. He has the ability to start Akuma or switch into Akuma with Doom backing him up still, which is good. Like he's not a one-dimensional, if you have MODOK, then I'm out of here kind of player. Right. And in fact, if I recall correctly, Chris G beat Rubix
at Evo?
At Evo. I think that was at Evo.
By the way, I think
MODOK, Rubix being a big MODOK player.
Fnatic is going to Seasons Beings. I think he's on the stream. He just mentioned that. Is he not in any of the pools? Or
I don't know. Maybe he hasn't registered. Maybe I just got these and they're no longer accurate.
Okay.
I don't know. But these are the pools that I have. I'm sure that's the case, that there are going to be lots of people going who haven't signed up yet, because I don't think that the signups are done yet.
Okay.
Maybe they are. Pre-registration closed on Sunday, but I guess you can still register.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm really sad that, obviously we were there last year. I was there for 2 years in a row. I'm not going to be able to make it this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're not, unfortunately,
So we're not going to be out there this year, but, guys, it's going to be streamed by Spooky, of course, right? And I'm pretty sure the visuals are done by Seth Moosey again as well, who's amazing because he does all the work for Evo as well.
Yeah.
And it's going to be an awesome event, dude. You guys really, really, really need to check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's not just Marvel, obviously. They have Bala and The Answer coming in King of Fighters.
There's a big King of Fighters thing going on.
There's a big thing.
Right?
Yeah, there's a big King of Fighters thing going on too.
Isn't Atlas like sponsoring a little bit the event?
Very possible. But I can tell you also that Laugh is coming, Infiltration is coming, in KOF, Mad KOF is coming, and
really,
yeah. So
dang, wow, they're pulling out all the stops for this. Okay, that's
it's gonna be pretty awesome. Yeah,
okay.
I wish that I wasn't just busy this weekend and I could just like sit around and watch. But
yeah,
I'll definitely catch the archives on this.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way. I'm not gonna be able to sit down and just. I'm not gonna be able to stream Monster all of Saturday, which makes me sad. But
actually, I saw the schedule. Marvel's on Friday.
Oh really?
Yeah, Marvel's on Friday, and then Saturday I guess is other stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
And then Top 8 is on Sunday.
Okay,
of course,
cool,
or Top 16, I think.
Yeah. So Sunday, grand finals, obviously. So yeah, guys, check that out if you can. So it's gonna be very awesome, very awesome.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's too bad that we can't go. Would have been cool. But
I mean, I've always said Seasons Beatings is like the premier hype event. You know what I mean? Like Evo is crazy and super hype, but like Seasons Beatings is like the trash talking hype kind of like craziness.
That's definitely what I like. I think like that and like ECT or another one of those like Northeast majors, like that kind of thing, like Winter Brawl. Like I think of those as being like the trash talk, like, in your face ones.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
yeah, that's always really cool.
Okay, cool. So you want to take another break, or do you think we're just done?
I don't know. What else would you want to talk about? Because I don't know.
Try Dead or Alive 5. No, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess then we can just call it a day.
Well, then. Do you want to just, like, answer questions next?
Well, technically we've been here for an hour, so, you know. Do people want us to answer random questions, or what?
I don't know.
Let's see what people say. FFA memories. Dude, FFA memories, just go download as many of the Third Strike Ranbats as you can, and that's where you're going to fall in love with Rockefeller's commentary right there, dude, because that's... Dude, they were all talking about that they should do a run back, like, before FFA closes.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break.
Okay, sorry. All right.
All right, so we'll be back with more rambling about whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys, welcome back.
Yeah.
When we left, I was just kind of talking about, like, there were some people... Family Fun Arcade obviously going to close soon, and was the mecca of Third Strike, and, you know, had all these... Dude, the Ranbats that they had at the time, you know, where you had Edma, Kenai, Pyrolee, Victoli... Is it Victoli or Victoli? Victoli. And, you know, obviously Amir and Gutex and Rockefeller himself and everything, and Rockefeller doing commentary. You were there. You played a couple of them, right?
I was relevant.
Vi played in those tournaments as well. I mean, it was just like I'm not a huge fan of Third Strike, but when I watched the Ranbats, it was just like the most entertaining thing ever. It was the greatest thing, and a lot of people were talking about potentially doing a last hurrah, trying to get everybody back, getting Rockefeller on the mic and doing another. Yeah, there have
been some conversations about that. I don't know that anything concrete is happening, and I don't want to blow it up if it is, because I don't really know.
Right.
But there's definitely been conversation about it. I hope it happens. That would be awesome to have that kind of thing again before it closes. Man, Family Fun was so cool. Like, so at the time I was going to college up north, and I only got to play at Family when I came back for spring break or for winter break or for whatever vacation. And I guess it was the same actually during law school. So I only got to play there during those breaks, but it was the place to be. Like I always look forward to, as much as I wanted to play at the Barricade. By the way, also RIP Barricade.
Oh, did that close as well?
That closed just after I graduated in 2005.
Okay, so it was a long time ago.
It's been gone.
Okay.
You know what they closed it down for? So there were 4 gelato places within walking distance of the Cal campus. Needed another gelato store, of course. So closed down on campus this time. So they closed down the campus arcade in favor of gelato. Last time I was there, the gelato was closed. All right. Thanks, Berkeley. Anyway, so going to Family Fun was awesome. I only got top 8 at a Rambat one time because I was playing Q, which is not very good, and B, I just wasn't that great. Like, I was fine, but I wasn't anything remarkable with character. So I got top 8, and I definitely remember the times when I didn't get top 8. I can tell you exactly what happened a couple of times. One time I almost had top 8, and I forget what the Necro player was or who it was, but I needed to down parry his super because the little
electric snake, right?
Yeah, it's down parryable, and so I needed to do it, and I got the first hit, and then I forgot the timing on the rest, and I died. And then there was another time when I got hit by this BS wake up KKZ from some scrubby Akuma player who sucked.
So I can see that. That's what I thought it was. Sanchez is saying it was probably Mutant XP, right? Or
is it Mutant from East?
Is he? I don't know. That's what Sanchez said. So
It might have been Slime Lord. I really don't recall, but so the one time that I got top 8, I don't even remember anything that happened except for I got interviewed by Rockefeller, and this like made my night. This made my week. It was amazing that I could be interviewed for. Man, those Family Fun Rambats, they go online on YouTube, and at least a few hundred people are gonna see those things. So
right.
that was amazing that I could get on there, and like I had some little quip that Rockefeller thought was pretty funny. I made him laugh, or at least he pretended to laugh, and I appreciated the courtesy.
Right.
But it was cool. I always had a blast going, and even just watching, I'd always like try to stand near Rockefeller to hear him because it was super loud arcade. You couldn't really hear it that well, so I wanted to stand there next to the big boy cabs or whatever cab they were doing on at the time.
It was one of my favorite videos to download and watch. This was before like YouTube was really
combovideos.com?
Yeah, combovideos.com and wherever you could grab the videos from. Like, oh my god, I enjoyed watching them so much. And seriously, like a lot of people hear Rockefeller commentary these days and they're like, dude, this guy, what's the deal with this? But you watch the Family Fun Rambats and you will understand why he is just so amazing.
Hilarious.
And he pretty much paved the way for commentary during that time.
That's the thing. Like, so he was making it up because nobody had done it before.
Right.
We definitely had stuff to go on. We had already kind of seen it.
Right.
But he didn't. So he just was kind of goofing around with his buddies. Like, it was kind of a situation where that dude does that anyway. Like we would just be at the arcade, and that's why he was the one who was commentating, because he was just doing it.
Interestingly enough, I always say, back in Southern Hills Golfland days, he never said anything.
Dude, that's how I was. And you can't believe this, but I know Sanchez is in there, so he can confirm. I was as quiet as could be. I didn't talk to people. Like, I remember Sanchez talking to me. Like, I didn't talk. So I was... In fact, at the Barricade, I don't even know anybody who went to the Barricade. Like, I know their faces, but, I know their names, but, like, I never made friends with people because I would just show up, like, never talk. I was way too shy.
I don't believe that at all.
I'm serious. That's what happened.
Sanchez says he reached out to you.
It's true.
I think he also meant he reached out at you, right? So,
probably also true.
Yeah. It's probably true.
But, no, I was like that, and I guess I'm not really like that anymore.
Yeah, I mean
anyway, it was a big deal at the time, and like I said, I knew a guy who came from the East Coast who literally took pictures of the inside of Family Fun because it was that kind of thing. Like, it was a shrine that you would go to.
Yeah, for sure. It was one of the landmarks, and unfortunately, it's gonna go down unless someone tries to come and take it over or something like that. So
I guess, but I just don't think it's been that profitable.
Yeah,
so.
and like I said, I've heard rumors of the cost of trying to maintain that place, and it's not cheap, man. It's not cheap. So
yeah. Is there anything else that you want us to talk about? Because I think we came back just for whatever reason.
Yeah, I know. We were just talking about whatever random
spur
stuff.
of the moment. So
yeah, exactly. So
let us know if you have any questions or anything that you want us to talk about.
Talk about your
Tekken is going okay. I'm still awful, but I didn't play online yesterday, so I'm still 0 and everything. But I'm starting to get stuff down a little bit better. And when I notice that when I'm watching other people play now, I can kind of understand why they're doing stuff.
That's good.
That's a good step.
That's a huge thing. I mean, I always talk about how making games need to be more viewer friendly and stuff like that. That's one of the reasons, because if a game is viewer friendly, people are more willing to watch it. When they're more willing to watch it, they start understanding it. When they start understanding it, they learn it. When they learn it, they want to play it. So inevitably, by making a game more watchable, you'll get more players in there, and that's kind of the goal.
I hope everybody plays Tekken, because it's a really good game, and even if it's not what you've played in the past, it's certainly not what I have in the past, except for like 8 years ago, for Tekken 5 for 2 months. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because I do want to play it. I know I've talked smack about it. I'm not really talking smack about it. I'm just talking about like how I perceive it as a Capcom player, right?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to.
It's very different.
Yeah, but dude, it's like I also wanted to play Persona. I wanted to play King of Fighters. I want to play all these games. Like right now, I still have like thoughts of who should I pick in King of Fighters. I want to play this character, and I never get to touch it. And my new team in Marvel, I barely ever get to use. Like I've literally played it against like 1 or 2 humans, like total, like in a total of like an hour. So I don't even know if my new team is any good, and it's so hard. So
My beard's going okay. I would say it's been about 3 weeks now.
I mean, is this for all the holidays and stuff like that, or are you just doing it just because you...
Because I was lazy at the start, and now I kind of think it's cool.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
But I'm sure it's starting to get a little annoying, like right in here. If you can grow a beard, you know what I'm talking about. Like, there's this little bit of hair here, and once it grows to a certain length, you can't do this as easily. Like, you can't open your mouth. I'm serious. And there's going to be a point, because this has happened to me before too, where I can't go like this as well.
Oh, because the beard gets in the way.
Hair, yeah, we'll see when it happens.
Okay. I can't even grow a beard like that. Like, I would seriously have to not shave for probably 10 years to even get, like, a tenth of that. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I cannot grow hair, like, right here.
You grow a better mustache than I do, though.
Oh, yeah.
Although, my mustache isn't as crappy. Like, I'm seeing myself on stream right now. It's not as bad as it seems. It's just that it's blonde. It's really light blonde.
Oh, yeah, you can barely see it.
You can't really see it on there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
See, that's what I should do. You know, I should shave off. I should do the Shaolin monk haircut, like have the little ponytail in the back and stuff like that. You know, I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, Delta757. Are people who run streams infringing on copyrights when fighting games played on consoles are streamed on publicly accessible channels? Yeah, totally, man. This Twitch.tv is built entirely on copyright infringement, on massive copyright infringement. And if I were the people who ran Twitch.tv, I don't know, like, you can't really insure yourself against, like, criminal copyright infringement, but I would make sure I was pretty well insured if I were those guys, just in case, because it's a dangerous position, and certainly the streamers every single day, you know, broadcast stuff that is infringing.
The thing about it is most of the companies who own the games that are being streamed, they know it's basically it's just good for them, right? It gets out there. Anyway. People see stuff, you know, they get hyped for the game. I mean, dude, you watch Siglemic do those crazy Mario 64 runs. How many of us want to just go out and play Mario 64 again, dude? It's so ridiculous. Watching him is so much fun.
But, you know, whether something is free advertising or free publicity or good for market value, it's not really what matters. Well, that's not true exactly. Fair use, there is like a market effect calculus in there for kind of making a defense. If somebody sues you for infringement, you can make a fair use argument that includes the fact that it's good for them in market value. But that's not really a big deal. Like, they can totally sue us anyway. Like,
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, man, it's a dangerous position, kind of. Not really, but like it's a very it's an insecure position.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's a dance. We're doing a very tenuous dance here.
I mean, hey, that's why we didn't do Tekken Tag Tournament 2 when it first came out, because remember it was coming out on a Tuesday,
right? And
we were streaming on a Monday, and we were thinking about doing it because I had already had the game. It was out thanks to local awesome mom and pop.
Right.
And we didn't do it because we didn't want to run into that stuff.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, like all the other ones, like Virtua Fighter, when we did that early, we did that with the blessing of Sega. And when we did Skullgirls, obviously Mike Z was here, so he helped us with that. And when we did Persona, Yu Namba was here. So we've always had like the blessing of everybody to do these kind of things. The only one that we didn't get it was for Tekken, but
that's why we didn't do that.
Yeah. So obviously that's why we haven't done DOA yet either. So, you know, because I'm pretty sure that's the main reason why we haven't done DOA yet. So
settle down.
No, actually, I honestly do want to try it out. I want to mess with it and see how it goes. So, because I have a lot of interesting, like it's gonna be a very interesting kind of. I want to see how it goes. I'm really curious about this game. I'm really curious about this game. For my own personal reasons, I'm very curious about this game. So
it's a little strangely phrased, but okay.
Well, okay, fine. Just so
people
don't think I'm like, they got like bouncing tits. Yes, and it's the best game. No, I mean honestly, like the thing about it is, this game is designed for entertainment. You know, viewable entertainment. It's supposed to be fun to watch, because that was one of Itagaki's critiques of Tekken. He was just
that's right.
He was just like, this Tekken is the most boring game to watch. I make this game fun to watch, you know. So I'm curious to see that now that they're trying to keep it fun to watch, but now they're actually trying to make it fun to play. You know what I mean? Because like before it was kind of counter mashing.
You mean more strategic to play?
More strategic to play. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
I'm totally making subtle digs at everything right now. It's awesome.
You sure are, man.
It's so awesome. Okay. Anyways, so I mean, I don't really have anything else to say. So.
I'm just seeing if anybody has anything interesting to talk about.
Dude, Tekken is not ugly right now. Tekken Tag 2 is probably one of the best looking games that I've seen in recent memory. That game is fantastic looking. So
yeah.
No arcade for old men. Yep. Shout outs to Papa Vi in there, Uncle Vi in there. All right.
What do you think would happen to the community if a game developer tried to profit for the streaming of their games? Well, that happens, just not in fighting games, but it does happen in some other game genres. And basically, as much as I was just saying that it's an insecure position to be a streamer and to be streaming video games, I'd rather stay that way. I would rather the companies not get involved because I'd rather it be the case where they mostly take a hands-off approach than that they take a very hands-on approach and kind of dictate what we can do.
Right. So. Well, I do want to answer this question here from Slitch. He asked what happened to Dogface. I think that's a very appropriate topic because Dogface was one of the main players who got famous. You know, I mean, he's a great personality. He got famous at Family Fun Arcade, which we were talking about. Yeah. He did some of those Marvel commentary, which is just legendary in the Marvel 2 circles at Family Fun. He also did the Dogface show. He's one of the funniest guys I think I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, for sure.
And no, I mean, just pretty much real life. He does a lot of work now. He's doing work, and so he just hasn't had much time for the fighting game community anymore. But, you know, every single day, like me and a couple of other guys that I know try to plot his comeback in some way, shape, form, or another. Because, I mean, before when we did the Dogface show, it was all recorded and edited and stuff like that. But streaming is the way now, right? So we don't need it anymore. We can just do a live show where he streams, and you can see Dogface's pure rawness and just... I mean, the best thing about seeing it live is you really get to pick up on how fast and how witty the guy is.
Yeah.
Because, like, I remember the very first Dogface episode, which was, interestingly enough, Mike Ross and Gutex. Which was... Really? Yeah, it's still... Oh, okay, I'm not going to get into it. But anyway, it's amazing. It was so funny. And, like, we had no idea... that was the kind of interview he was going to give. And you can still see it. Dogface Show is still on YouTube, so youtube.com/Dogface Show. And, dude, that first episode, like, I had no idea what kind of interview Dogface was going to do. And when he started asking questions, like me and Derek Daniels were in the audience, we were helping run the helping organize it.
Yeah.
And dude, like, the amount of pure willpower and strength to not just start dying laughing out loud during that thing, I have never executed that much. I mean, I was hurting after it was done because I was not allowed to laugh out loud, and it was just so damn funny. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good.
Speaking of videos, if you want to go see some Family Fun Rambats, they're still online in some cases. youtube.com/Mario Doot, DOOT.
Oh no! Dogface Show's channel is gone.
Oh, for real?
No. Oh man. Okay, I'm sad about this. Okay, I need to rectify this. I need to like put all the episodes up on my YouTube channel or something like that. So.
Also, you can go to Sanchez's channel. It's youtube.com/KernelPop. Colonel is spelled COLONEL because this is the English language, and that's just how we spell Colonel. Deal with that. In case you don't speak English. Very well. So, Dogface deleted his vids?
Well, his channel is just gone.
Well, it might have been, I guess, deleted by somebody else.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know.
So frustrated. Okay, I may still have most of the episodes on my computer downstairs, so I may have to rectify that, throw them all up on my YouTube channel or something like that. So subscribe to jchensor on YouTube.
Nice. I think I have some Family Fun Rambats too on youtube.com/UltraDavid.
Oh, nice.
I used to have a video that people use a channel.
Right.
I'm still around, but I don't know. Is that it? Are we got anything else to ramble about?
I don't think so. I think we're done. I think we're good.
I'm so hungry.
Want me to get you some food?
Can you grab me some bacon and shrimp or something like that, please?
Exactly. Yeah.
Smother it in cheese. All right, enough of just we don't even have just nothing going on anymore. We're told I really should have called it. I have no idea what we're doing today. That's too bad.
We'll save that for next week.
Next week it is
the same thing anyway.
I'm sure we'll suck just as much next week as we do this week. I don't know what's going to change in the intervening days.
Unless, of course, your beard grows too long, then you can't.
Then I won't be able to talk.
You won't be able to suck or anything like that either.
No, it limits the talking.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how people with big beards do it. Got to have like pretty strong lip muscles.
Yeah, they just get used to it after a while. So
that's my ringtone.
That's so good. Anyways, okay.
All right, anyway, we'll see you. That's it for today. We'll be back on Monday at 8 p.m. as always.
Tune into Wednesday Night Fights tomorrow for all your Tekken Tag 2 and Street Fighter 4 action. And, of course, the run back for Marvel, Persona, KOF. Thursday night throwdowns in NorCal also occurs on Fridays. If you want to see where Drew Grimy and Hanzo Gonzo and all those guys... Actually, Hanzo Gonzo don't play there as much, but Patrick and... those guys are from. Check out Fraud Free Fridays on FGTV Live. So.
Okay, cool. See ya.